Everybody in? We're good. Shana Tova. Welcome, everybody. Shana Tova. That's right. Happy New Year. We are in 5782 now. And so I just wanted to start with a quick story. There's a story about the Hasidic master, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Miberdichev. One evening, right before Rosh Hashanah, he's standing out, peering out of his window, and a guy who repairs shoes walks by. And he says to the man, "Don't you have anything to fix?" And Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Miberdichev falls on the floor and begins to cry and moan. "Oily! Oh my goodness! The day of judgment is here, and I still haven't fixed myself. I still haven't repaired myself." And so here we are, Rosh Hashanah. Whether you're a Hasidic master or in recovery, in treatment right now, nobody fixes themselves completely. We are all works in progresses. We are all human becomings. So that's why we need Rosh Hashanah every year. We do the same thing over and over because it's a reminder that there's still work to be done. And so I invite everybody, whether here on Zoom or in person, for the next couple of days, to draw near, to come closer to yourself, to higher power, to community, and listen to the stories of redemption, from brokenness to healing, along with this incredible music that we have. And on behalf of the spiritual department of Rabbis Carey, Rabbi Miriam, and Chaplain Adam Siegel, we want to invite you for these high holiday services. So welcome, Shana Tova, and we're going to kick it off with our first speaker, Brandon Kay. Come on up.
All right, I'm a much better performer off stage. But so I'm Brandon, grateful member of this community. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Brandon.
I was given an excerpt of the Torah of the burning bush, which is, why did the Holy One choose to speak to Moses out of a thorn bush? And it says to teach us that there is no place without divine presence, not even a thorn bush. Now, I'm going to read this because I didn't have a chance to memorize it, so bear with me. There are many perspectives to this passage. I'll speak on the two that resonate with me personally. One is a higher power speaking through a thorn bush to Moses. The second is actually being a thorn bush. Two very different views, but both reflect my current life as well as my past. There have been many days where I chose to struggle in isolation. I sat in those struggles and became comfortable inside chaos. Due to my circumstances, any representation of me was seen filtered through pain. Every message I received metaphorically came through a thorn bush in the form of hurt. In the aftermath, tattered and torn, I carried and displayed every scar I obtained along the pathway. I feel that the thorn bush could symbolize a space filled with harsh obstacles, but I also feel the passage is stating that there is no place on earth untouchable to divine presence. Not even inside a forbidden, dangerous, and uncomfortable burning thorn bush. In the deep abyss, at our darkest hours, there is light and joy, a beacon of hope if you choose to see it. Not long ago, I was incarcerated facing 18 years, and at this moment, I'm still fighting. But there I stood, again towered by another thorn bush, dwelling in the shadow. My body was trapped while my mind ran free. Instead of choosing to be depressed during those times, I chose to find some sort of connection in a place with high limitations and dying faith. I looked for a message or a sign to show that I still had something to live for. As my strength steadily diminished, fighting for sanity but preparing for the worst case scenario, I stood looking at the thorn bush. This time the thorn bush came in the shape of a cell. I was hesitant to ever look out the window because I didn't want to see the world I no longer had access to. But one day I walked to the window and pressed my face against the glass, and at that moment something happened. I felt warmth from the sun, and for a second I escaped from the cold brick and steel that surrounded me. I looked at the birds fly in circles. I seen the wind flow freely through the foliage. There it was, the message I needed to see and feel. That window was the opening in the thorn bush that gave back the hope and will to live. I found freedom in imprisonment. I know the world continues to move regardless of any individual's personal obstacles, so I don't dwell on my pitfalls. I find peace and serenity from moment to moment. I pause, take a breath, reflect, and appreciate what I do have rather than what I don't. In addition, I decided to direct change instead of simply going through a change. How can I be more impactful with what I've learned from my experience? I take the messages received from different thorn bushes all over time and deliver those lessons I learned to the masses. These days, I'm more of the thorn bush itself, and the voice presence of divinity passes through me. I act as a conduit of free-flowing positivity and truth, wearing my mistakes, prosperity, and struggles on a uniform drenched in blood, sweat, and tears. And today I stand present, alert, displaying my scars like a badge of honor. Here I am, a burning bush, one that can warm a winter's night. Big bars.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. We're going to continue with the candle lighting for Yom Tov, for Rosh Hashanah. And I invite Ruby to come light the candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner להדליק נר של יום טוב.
Keep on trying. Don't stop trying to light those fires. Light those lights, I should say. It's my distinct pleasure to invite our executive director, Dr. Sergio Rizzo Fontanesi, to give a word of welcome.
Shana Tova, everyone.
Shana Tova.
It is with excitement and joy that I welcome you tonight. Both those of you who are present in person, our staff and our residents, and of course our community who is joining us virtually. This year, as we began our preparations for the holidays and set the intentions for 5782, we were guided by the theme of drawing close as we continue to face unfathomable changes. Our world has transformed at an unprecedented pace over the past 18 months, and we have been handed the formidable task of learning how to adapt quickly to disruption, isolation, and tremendous loss. The effects have been devastating, not only with respect to the coronavirus, but also with addiction. 93,000 overdose deaths just last year, and tens of thousands of grandparents, parents, siblings, friends, and loved ones left to put together the shattered pieces of their lives following the death of their loved ones gone too soon. And yet, despite this unfathomable loss, I know that there is still hope in the world. Through the darkest moments of the pandemic and its corresponding toll on human lives, Beit Teshuvah has remained a beacon of hope for those who are bravely seeking to live life outside of the shadows of addiction. Our community stands strong, and our inviting arms extend openly to embrace anyone, regardless of class, status, religion, financial means, or way of life. I am reminded this year, more so than in any other of my 6 years at Beit Teshuvah, that we are a holy force in the world, and that there is still goodness in the world, and that both holiness and goodness have an address. 8831 Venice Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. As we embark on 5782, I pray that we continue to draw close to community, connection, hope, and life. And I wish for each of you and your families a sweet and good new year. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Shana Tova, Sergio. And so we begin our service with the Shechianu blessing, a blessing commemorating, bringing us to this moment, honoring this sacred moment right here in time. Cantor and band.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You bring us here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You keep us here. Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You bring us here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You keep us here. Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh.
Beautiful. We're going to continue on with Tzaddik Katamar.
Yeah. Tova. I'm Steve. I'm a grateful member of this community.
Hi, Steve.
After hiking the Arizona Trail this year, March through May, I felt indestructible. But I walked right into a casino and started gambling again. I had planned on hiking the entire summer, but my gambling addiction had other plans. While on the Tahoe Rim Trail, I was looking at the stars and yawning. I couldn't smell the pine trees or see the beauty in nature. I didn't give a dang about anyone or anything. I was like an old tree whose roots were in barren soil. My branches were dead and dying. I saw no hope for my future and no meaningful life in front of me. I was separated from my family and friends. Because of my gambling, I just wanted to die. Upon entering Beit Teshuvah, I felt I was replanted. Now my roots grasp spiritual soil. This reminds me of the prayer Sadiq Katamar. The righteous will blossom like a date palm, tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, in the courtyards of our God, they will blossom. They will still be fruitful in old age, full of sap and freshness, ready to declare that Adonai is upright, my own stronghold in whom there is no flaw. I was planted in God's garden, and I'm growing into a mature tree that I pray other travelers will find shade and peace under my branches. Amen.
Beautiful, Steve. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to call up Monique J. to give a drosh on If You Look at the Stars.
Good evening. My name is Monique Haurigi, and I'm a raging alcoholic and a grateful member of Beit Teshuvah. Rabbi Joseph gave me this text from, and it reads it says, "Praise me, says God. I will know that you love me. Curse me, says God. I will know that you love me. Praise me or curse me, and I know that you will love me. Sing out my graces, says God. Sing out my graces, says God. Raise your first fist against me, and I will revile, says God. Sing out graces or revile. Reviling is also known as praise, says God. But if you fence off, says God, apathy, if you're entrenched in, if you look at the stars and yawn, if you see suffering and don't cry out, if you do not praise and do not revile, then I created you in vain, says God. When I started this spiritual journey, I felt with strong emotion of apathy. I define apathy as not caring, just total darkness, didn't care either way, lost. I felt stuck with no regard. I asked God, how could you? I asked her, there's no praise here. I was angry, but not at him, but at myself. Just despair. Then faith set in, and it cried out, humble yourself. And I heard, and pray for humility, what I was lacking. Good things will come, and which they did. I sang out graces, praised God, got a little cocky, got a little bit of fire under my belt, and in some ways was very selfish and felt better than anybody else. But in fact, I was not. I was equal. God is good, wishes do come true. Anything is possible until it's not. And I relapsed. It happened then darkness with despair set in. And when I looked up and I saw a total lost, dark, no one there, which I thought I could not get up. With the help of this community, everyone embraced me. In my darkness, I thought, geez, a year, I conquered, I prevailed. I said, the love that I had here is what kept me going. However, I was looking for the outside. And when I did take that drink, I said, no one cares anyway. All that hard work for a year, no one cares. Here I go. But you know, indeed, I don't need the outside. What I have and what I found here is in the inside. And what can make me strong, and the community embraced me, didn't look down upon me, but says, this is just a little detour, Monique. Get up. You can do it. You are not forgotten. You've been found. There is a place for me in this world. When I received my cake, I said, for the first time in 50 years, I felt I belong. And I have not felt that in my family, on the outside, ever. So what was I expecting? Humility was to get me back here. My therapist, Karen Strauss, says, your abrasiveness, humble yourself, your humility, your cockiness, think about it, pray about it. It will find you. God works in so many ways. It is how we interpret it, utilize it. God's presence is ever so strong. His love is undying, and will conquer all. Thank you.
Monique. So I'm going to invite everybody to rise for the Baruch Hu. This is a moment to just, you know, we never surrendered, we're surrendering. And so this is a moment of surrender. Baruch Hu.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Amen.
You may be seated. Continue on with Ma'ariv, Aravim, and Ha'avat Olam.
La 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 la. With the word evening is spoken, with the word our floodgates open, and our stars have been aligned. Yours to sparkle, mine to shine. Umavio mumevi laila, umavil ben yonu ben laila, umavio mumevi laila, umavil ben yonu ben laila.
Rolling light away from darkness, and darkness
ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. And it seems the season spilled into time forever filled, walking, weaving into spinning, until we are standing still. ומבהיר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. מבהיר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. ברוך אתה Adonai Amariv Aravi.
I forgot to mention everybody has these sheets in front of you, so we're following along. We're on Ahavat Olam on page 4 right now. And for those on Zoom, I'm sure you guys got that email with the downloadable version, so I hope you're following along as well. Ahavat Olam. Go for it. Please.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Avta Torah Mitzvot U'Chim U'Mishpatim Otanu lemodeta. Akein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokleinu uv'komenu nasiach ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך
I thought it was on. Nope. Okay, we get to go to Zoom for this next one. Tanya J is going to give us a little drosh. There she is. Hi, Tanya, on the Shema. So good to see
Hi,
you.
everyone. So good to see all of you. First, I just want to say, Monique, I love you. And that took a lot of courage. So Rabbi Carey reached out to me and asked me to speak about listening and the Shema prayer. And it was just so much relatable to where I've been this last couple of weeks. I feel like I've been listening. I believe this is how the prayer goes, or at least part of it. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. I've searched for a connection to God, my higher power, since I was a child, looking through religions and outside resources, possibly for someone to tell me, and I just see him. When I couldn't find him or myself, I turned to drugs and alcohol to solve my problems, to heal the part of my mind and spirit that hurt. Peace was elusive, a connection impossible. Throughout my time at Beit Teshuvah, I stayed sober. My head slowly cleared. I studied the Torah with new friends, spiritual leaders. I participated in religious events. I stayed sober. A light started to emerge, a connection to a higher power. I heard someone say that God is hidden within us. So I looked closer. Before I left Beit Teshuvah, I felt that connection. Less Torah study, less connection to spiritual leadership, and we drifted. I didn't feel the connection as much, but I knew not to give up. I kept meditating, praying, reciting prayers. Then last week, my close friend from childhood died of liver failure. More specifically, she drank herself to death. I did not cry. I could not find tears. I didn't and don't want to force them. Why her and not me? I was in physical pain my last year of drinking and gambling. My organs ached. I had so many questions after she passed, but no answers, and I couldn't ask her any longer. So I waited. And I listened. I heard my body, my mind reacting, oh, so slowly. Her husband called me the next day, drunk. He was processing his loss. I knew that is how I would have processed it a year ago. I would not have been able to wait or listen for God to be felt around me. So I asked God, make him, Desmoni's memory, be a blessing. With all things in my life before January 4th, I drank to cover feelings of sadness, happiness, anger, frustration, joy. I never sat with my own discomfort long enough to let God into my life. I've learned it's okay to just be, not to fill the empty space with something. It's okay to feel. And by just feeling and not being numb, God is here, like a warm blanket around me. I can feel his nearness to me. I can hear the sounds of his presence in the breeze, in the water, in me. Hear, oh God, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. We miss you, Tanya, I miss watching you walk through the parking lot over and over doing your laps. So, sending you lots of love in your way of in your healing. We'll continue with the Shema and the Ve'ahavta.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, וניברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Continue with Michamocha, the Geula.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, Rabbi Carey.
I love the reciprocity. I'm going to just do it one more time, if you don't mind. Shana Tova. So good. Shana Tova to you on Zoom also. We'll continue with the Hashki Venu introduction by Addie.
Hi, I'm Addie, a grateful member of this community. I was given the Hashki Nevu, and it reads, "Help us, Adonai, grant us life and peace. Guide us with your words and show us mercy. Shelter us from evil, spread your wings of love. Help us join together as we count the stars above." I've cried for help in many times of need, pleading for God to help me out of the struggles I was facing. Tears streaming down my face, breath escaping my body, my heart bruised and my soul aching, hopeless. Before coming to BTS, I was afraid and alone. I was locked in the prison of what I thought was true love. With all the chaos that surrounded me, my sense of security had been compromised for so long that I became accustomed to survival. I couldn't see a clear path out of my misery, didn't understand my reason for living, and wouldn't face the truth. In the midst of my escape, I desperately searched for comfort, validation, and purpose in all the wrong people and places. When my life fell apart, I found comfort in alcohol, eventually allowing myself to drown in my own despair, but somehow still believing that the alcohol was the only thing enabling me to continue living. This community wrapped its arms around me when I was helpless, hopeless, and afraid. I'm learning to be open and vulnerable, as well as allow myself to be guided along my path out of misery. Although I still struggle with feeling unworthy, insecure, and alone, I feel empowered and capable for the first time in a very long time. I'm beginning to believe that whatever I am faced with, I can and will get through it if I stay my course. It wasn't until I fully bared my soul that I was able to see what I'm truly capable of. The comfort I sought for so long was within me all along. I've cried myself to sleep many a night, hoping for a better life or simply to not wake up the next morning. Today, my cries are from a place of gratitude. I'm grateful for all that I have endured. I'm grateful for the wisdom that has been instilled in me. And I'm eternally grateful for the mercy shown to me and the opportunity I have to continue living my life. Today, I know that I am finally safe, protected, and loved. Thank you.
Oh, that's such a good feeling, to feel protected and loved. Yes. Continue with the Hashki Venu prayer.
Help us, Adonai. Grant us life and peace. Guide us with your words and show us mercy. Shelter us from evil. Spread your wings of love. Help us join together as we count the stars above. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Vehamidenu Malkeinu lechaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Vehamidenu Malkeinu Ushmor Tzeteinu Ovoenu Lechaim Uleshalom Me'ata ve'ad olam. Ushmor Tzeteinu Uvoenu Lechaim Uleshalom Me'ata ve'ad olam. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Vehamidenu Malkeinu lechaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Vehamidenu Malkeinu lechaim. Ashkivenu Adonai.
I just said to Rabbi Joseph, I keep forgetting to take my mask off. But I don't think Russell's mad about that, right, Russell? Russell's like, keep it on. I brought a prop. Really, I borrowed a prop. This pomegranate right here, for those of you on Zoom and for those of you in the room, was grown in our Zen garden. Chaplain Adam came up to us a few minutes before services started and said, we planted this 3 years ago, and this is the first fruit. This holiday is about life. All the stories we've heard tonight so far and all of the songs we've heard tonight so far, they're about the journey of living. They're about struggle, yes, and difficulties, yes. But I'm tired of falling in love with the difficulties of life. This holiday is about life and co-creating the life that we want for ourselves, the way we want to impact the people around us, the beauty around us. That's what this holiday is about. So I want you to think for a moment, and you on Zoom also, I want you to think for a moment. What's giving you life right now? What is helping you inhale and exhale, even on that level? What song did you hear? What story did you hear? What is giving you life? If you're on Zoom, put it in the chat. If you're in the room, just shout it out, like 1 or 2 words. What's giving you life right now? Beit Teshuvah, the future. There's a little love going on over here. My wife, Russell says my wife. Rabbi Joseph says his kids. Laughter. Music, yeah. Hashem, that's a name for God. Yeah. Family. So we're going to take a few minutes of silence. Yeah, I said it, silence. Uh-oh. What is giving you life? Be in conversation with that. Not just a conversation with the struggle, but be in conversation for a few moments about what is giving you life.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lead me on, Lord, from my transgression. Purify me from within. It is you, Lord, who knows my weakness, who gives me strength with thine one hand. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Be holy, Shaharet Tzedek, Abobam, Odeya, Zerasham, Le'Adonai, Tzadikim, Yabobo, Ose Shalom, V'him Romam, Oyaseh, Shalom Aleichem.
That's the life. Sit with that for a minute. Sit with it. It is so good to be alive. We have so many friends that aren't in this room right now, and it is so good to be alive and to be here with you. And we've learned that from the 2 pandemics that we fight here. The pandemic of addiction, the pandemic of the pandemic. That life is just so precious. And it's beautiful, and we can celebrate it together and sing it together. We'll continue with Ose Shalom.
Yo, dude, one second. Don't bogart my time here. I have a speech to make first. It's all right. Okay. So, I've been asked to speak on 2 prayers. Oh, I'm Philip. I'm a grateful member of this community. That's right. Huh? Oh, this mic. All right, fine. Be like that. All right, this is fine as long as there's a mic. I do love to be the center of attention. So, as I was saying, I've been asked to speak on 2 different prayers. I assume it's because I'm twice as special as everyone else. The first one is the silent Amida. I personally can't stand silence. When I meet with my therapist, sometimes there's just a few moments of silence and we'll be gazing into each other's eyes lovingly. And it is the most uncomfortable thing in the world for me. But the silent Amida is a time for inner reflection and personal connection with one's higher power. It's a time where I can stand in this holy sanctuary and take 2 minutes to say to my higher power, I'm here, let's do this thing. We finished the Amida with a prayer called Ose Shalom. Ose Shalom b'mirmav, huya Ose Shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. It means, may the maker of peace on high make peace upon us and upon all Israel, and say amen. It's a prayer about peace. To me, peace in my personal life is enoughness. I know that's not a word, but it's the best way to describe it. Enoughness is where more is not better, it's just more. When you look into your own lives, are you living in enoughness? Think about it. I'll give you 10 seconds. All right, that was long enough. I hate the silence, remember? Back when I was using, I always wanted more. More money, more sex, more drugs. Nothing was enough for me. And my life was miserable. It wasn't until I started living in enoughness that I was able to find happiness. I used to chase happiness, but now I'm well medicated. Thank you. And now,
All right, Philip, you're going to move to the...
I'm going to move to this one.
Yep.
That works for me. Now it's time for Ose Shalom. Romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Hoseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael.
Oh, say shalom, it's my favorite song. The sanctuary, the very place I belong. Shana Tova, yeah, we lit the candle. Remember Zadikim like Viktor Frankl. I need their wisdom, my life been in shambles. It's hard to get a grip when you've always been a handful. My bones would shake if I didn't pop pills. I'm amazed I could breathe through my nostrils. I prayed to Hashem to end my suffering. Now I'm at Beit Teshuvah trying to make shuva. I hope God hears me, so I put on the talents. I'm praising His love, I'm praying for balance. I'm looking forward to the days ahead. Wake up in the morning and I make my bed. Modeh Ani and Baruch Hashem, cause I'm feeling human again.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Oh,
I love Torah. So good. Rabbi Miriam, will you come offer us some words of Torah, please? Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Philip.
Here we are. Hi, everyone. Shana Tova. It's such an honor to come before this community and have the opportunity to share some words of Torah and also some experience, strength, and hope about my journey. Oh, yeah, and I can take off my mask. How cool is that? Let's do that. So about a month ago, I got a new sponsor. I'd had the same sponsor since I began working a program 3 years ago, and this change brought a new way of doing things. She and I were emailing back and forth, and in our conversation, she offered an unsolicited suggestion. With just a touch of contempt prior to investigation, I managed to stay curious. And she suggested that I use a different email address, one that was completely anonymous. She explained, citing Tradition 12, that anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions. After a few moments of taking it personally, justifying my actions to myself, and complaining to myself about how much work it would be to set up a new email account, I opened up a new browser tab and followed my sponsor's instructions. Later, I thought more about my sponsor's reminder that anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, and I remembered the words that followed it in the text of the 12th tradition. Anonymity ever reminds us to place principles before personalities. I thought, well, I believe in principles before personalities, and I wondered, how is it so easy for me to miss that connection between anonymity and spiritual foundation? I learned this lesson a second time while working with one of my Beit Teshuvah colleagues on our High Holiday Prayer Book. As we were looking at the computer screen, I saw a different web page open with some familiar words. These words were a title of a high holiday sermon. The sermon was written by someone who I got to know very well and who got to know me very well. But our relationship was rocky. It ended and I walked away with resentment. So when I saw the title of the sermon on the computer screen, I knew that this was not just any sermon. This was the rabbi's most well-known sermon, and it was beloved by many. Yet I'd never read it. I thought I should. Part of me wanted to. So my colleague printed me a copy and I brought it home. It moved from one pile in my bedroom to another pile on my desk and eventually made its way back to my office at Beit Teshuvah, where it sat in another pile. I still hadn't read it. I couldn't place the principle of the sermon before the personality who created it. I knew that the sermon would be a helpful text to learn as the high holidays drew close, and still I couldn't bring myself to start reading. Eventually, I thought enough is enough, and I brought this sermon to our Beit Teshuvah spiritual counselor's Beit Midrash. This is a sacred space where all our spiritual counselors, interns, chaplains, and rabbis come together to learn Jewish texts and bring them to life in our community. So I brought this sermon that I had not yet read. I finally learned this text with the support of my colleagues, and I came to understand why it was well known and why it was so loved. It made a powerful impact on me and on several of us who had the chance to learn and share its wisdom. This impact had nothing to do with the personality of its author. It had everything to do with the principles of its content. This particular experience was unique for me. Yet, for our Beit Teshuvah community, the experience of rabbis with personalities is not new. What are you talking about? It is something that most of us are familiar with, that some of us are very familiar with. And in the life of our community, the personalities of our rabbis and the personality of our founding rabbi made us who we were, and still today makes us who we are. We learn from the 12th tradition that anonymity reduces the possibility of personally judging others and ourselves so every member can focus on recovery. We have the unique opportunity to listen and work with people who have the same goal. Anonymity helps us remember all we have in common and remember the shared mission that unites us. But in our Beit Teshuvah community, personalities are part of our healing and part of our strength. Even as we are united in our need to make Teshuvah and begin living well, we are each unique. We are each different. To quote our founding rabbi, Mark Borovitz, who teaches the wisdom of Rabbi Adine Steinsaltz of blessed memory, every person has her own spiritual essence, whose uniqueness not only is the result of her heredity and education, but exists by divine intention. For each and every human being has a specific task to perform in the world, a task that no one else can accomplish, though there may well be better and more gifted people around to do it. Only she can do it in a certain way, in the singular composite of manner, personality, and circumstance that belongs to her. Just as our community draws upon the wisdom of the 12 steps and the 12 traditions, we also draw upon the wisdom of Jewish tradition. Each of us has a unique spiritual essence that exists by divine intention. This is true for you. This is true for me. And this is true for every rabbi that has served and that now serves our community. In our community, we can live into the power of personality as we express our unique essence, as we embody the divine intention that helps make us who we are, to appreciate the special connections that individuals can have and can build with one another. At the same time, we must also remember that to live in recovery, we must place principles first. When we place principles first, we are less apt to judge ourselves and others, less quick to reject wisdom because of who it is or isn't coming from. When we place principles first, we focus on the unique fusion of recovery and Judaism our community brings into the world and into the lives of all of us who gather close today. As we begin this high holiday season, I invite us all to stay focused on our core principles as we continue to draw inspiration from all our unique and precious personalities. In this new year, may we be blessed not only with principles before personalities, may we also be blessed with principles and personalities. Shana Tova.
Yasher Koach, Rabbi Miriam. Beautiful. Definitely a place of both principles and personalities here at Beit Tshuva. And I think that's one of the things that makes us so special. Thank you. We continue with some words from Tim, who's in the room. Come on, Tim.
Shana Tova. My name is Tim, and I'm grateful to be a member of this community. So I was asked to talk about thanks for your precious gifts. And so before I read that prayer and words, I'm going to talk about my most precious gift. So what's in our hands? And what propels us to accept... Sorry, I got to take this off. I started to fog up. What propels us to accept that we are guided by our higher power, but in the end, realize that the courses that we chart as individuals are driven by our beliefs and our belief systems, that we are in command of how we manage ourselves when we soar amongst the peaks and times when we find ourselves walking in the valley of despair. For many years, whether I found myself riding the waves of successes or being crushed in what I like to call the violent white waters of turmoil, it was the quick escape to my drug of choice, which I know many of you are familiar with, that became my salvation. There was no God, there was no peace, there was no calm and stability. There was nothing that tethered me to serenity. However, finding myself adrift was not only physically taxing, but it was mentally debilitating. What was the solution or the steps needed to take in order for me to free myself from this tumult? As someone who had been sober and in recovery for many years, and then went back to the darkest places in my mind's eye, I had to recall what brought me towards surrender in the first place. To this day, like many of us addicts, and even non-addicts, I find myself struggling in moments to find a soft spot to land, a place where negative voices are not welcome, or at the very least toned down. For me, this place involves conversations with God, and while there may not be a dialogue that goes back and forth, what I do hear is a clearer, more methodical voice that is mine, and it guides me back to a place of gratitude, calm, and determination. Again, this is where I remind myself of the surrender that needs to be a constant in my life in order to see the grass is green, even when there are dark patches among the greenery. I fully understand that developing a relationship with God or a higher power doesn't come easy for many of us, and it took me a good amount of time to connect with an entity that I couldn't see or touch or hear. But then I realized that wasn't true at all. All of you here, all of you online, nature, war, peace, discord, harmony, recovery, relapse, it's all God. And it's all about what we decide to do with the playing field set out before us. This all falls underneath the most powerful ability each and every one of us possesses, and that's choice. For me, this is far more than a way to thank God for the gifts bestowed upon us. It's a battle cry. It's an acknowledgement that God and I are in this together no matter what comes my way or our way. This is how I connect with God during this transition into the new year and re-up our partnership for another year to come. It's my way to let God know that I'm in this for the long haul, that I'm thankful for his, her, their willingness to remain my rock, my sounding board, and my biggest supporter. So, as it says here, thanks for your precious gifts. O God, who revealed yourself to a lonely shepherd in a lowly thorn bush enveloped in flames, which marvelously was not consumed, we thank you for your precious gifts, which stubbornly defy the fires that would consume them, for the yearning of liberty, which will not be strangled by the cold chains of tyranny, for the striving for truth, which will not be discouraged by the persistent clamor of falsehood, for the struggle for justice, which will not be defeated by the cruel powers of malice, for the urge to love, which will not be satisfied by the cynical call to hate, for the belief in tomorrow, which will not be crushed by the heavy burdens of today, for the will to live, which will not be choked by the rude hands of sorrow, for the power of the Spirit, which will not be conquered by the brute spirit of power, for the faith in you, which will not be uprooted by the chilly winds of despair. For all these precious gifts, we offer thanks to you who first spoke to Moses from the bush that burned but was not consumed. Hag Sameach Tiwa.
Thank you, Tim. We'll continue with the Aleinu prayer. Please rise.
שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. Adonai Echad, Bayom ha'or.
You may be seated. So this is the time in our service and when we remember those who have died. And especially as we go into the holidays, there tends to be, the remembering gets stronger in a way. So I'd like to invite the people on Zoom to unmute yourselves and share the names of the people that you're remembering today.
Sylvia Macta.
Marilyn Goldmans.
Thomas Carl Smiley.
Bernard Pitcroft.
Debbie
Alberts.
Luber.
Jim Visconti.
Tim Bronstein.
Jeremy Sigler. Davey Barron.
Louis Weintraub.
Leo Barron.
Philip Ross.
Paul Applebaum.
Neil Corsta.
Rosella Barbas.
Oma Van Dyne.
Laura Gradisha. Amy Paludicki.
Herbert
Anna
and Miriam Mandel.
Herb Gradisha. Kurt Gradisha.
Jean and Fred Colton.
Al
Bill
Gold.
Bilstein.
Betty Ann Miller.
Marley Swift.
My friends.
Mr. Hurt.
Lila Slayton. Livia Raskin. Lillian.
Elia.
Thank you. And now we'll go to people in the room. If there's somebody that you're remembering today, I invite you to please rise. And as we know at Beit Tshuva, nobody stands alone. So if you see somebody standing by themselves, make sure to go stand with them.
Rodney and Jane Sims.
Juan Santelises.
My mother Lisa and my father John.
My son Sawyer and my father Philip.
Mary Blackburn.
My uncle Joe Pierce.
George Martinez, Amber Lopez, Isaac Uringa.
Edna Paluzzi.
Annette Cohen. Sue Lotta.
Grandma Pat and Papa Dad.
My uncle William Cohen.
Robert Browning.
My mom Sherry.
Martin Cole.
Amy Paula Biggie, Al Hunger, Noah Lehman, Jeffrey T, and Ryan Capote.
My friends Brian Alexander and Sean Cadden.
Nima Azatosh and my uncle David Futtersack.
My parents, Deirdre and Stuart Damon.
Stanley Marks.
Christina Walker, Chrissy Sheehan.
Jeff Tamayo.
Al Unger.
My mother B and my nephew Darren.
Glenn Goss, Itai Ali Shav.
Keith Smith.
Matthew Wade Carey.
So if you're on Zoom and you can't stand with somebody right now, I want to just invite you to put your hand over your heart as a way to stand with each other when we can't be together. And to find a seat or a stance of dignity as we recite Kaddish which if you have the Machzor printed out, is on page 12. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu le'ela ule'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ve'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May those in mourning be comforted, be able to receive comfort and find peace. Amen. You may be seated. That's Rosh Hashanah. It's not the one we thought it would be if you think about these things a year in advance, like lots of rabbis do. But even if you didn't, maybe it's not the one you thought it would be, or maybe you didn't know what Rosh Hashanah was. Well, here it is. This is what we're doing. We're creating our lives. So a couple announcements, which I don't have in front of me. So what am I announcing? There we go. There we go. Join us tomorrow at 10 for Rosh Hashanah Day 1 services. There's a part 1 and a part 2. Part 2 of services start at 12 noon, right? Great. And I hope you will be a part of those services with us, both folks in the room and folks on Zoom. Am I announcing anything else? Tashlich, which is a time when a ritual where we can be together, both residents and folks on Zoom. We actually will get a chance to be together, which is awesome. Will be at 4 o'clock on Wednesday at, what's the name of the park? Sid Cronenthal Park, which is walking distance from Beit Shuvah. We have a chance to let go of what needs to be let go of. And it's a beautiful ritual for doing that. I hope you will join us, and I hope you will all be there as well. Am I missing anything? No, I'm good. Great. Let's wrap this thing up. Kiddush and Motzi, Cantor Nate.
Everyone, please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri hagafen. Amen. All right, some baked sheshuva around challah for...
I think the cheesecake just kind of pushed it over the ledge, and so now it's like we're going to have that now.
This is great.
Oh, beautiful.
I think there's apples and some cinnamon in here, and it's our very own. So let's do it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen. Thank you to Cantor Nate. Thank you to Ted on drums, Brock on bass, Micah on guitar, Tony on keyboard. And over here, guys, I'm still learning your names. I'm sorry. We've got Patrick, Stephen, Laura, and Christina. Thank you very much for making our service what it is. Thank you to everybody kind of back of the house. We've got Max and Jesse and Mickey and Brandon and Mike and who else is back there? I got everybody? Okay. Who are you pointing to? Kaya and Jillian?
Adam's chat.
And Oh, and there are apples and honey because it's Rosh Hashanah and we want life to be sweet. Go eat something sweet. Shana Tova, everybody.